Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees, and I'm thrilled to welcome back my favorite guest, Maya Bagriantseva. Maya, привет, как дела?
Bonjour.
Oh, oh, whipping
If
out.
we're here to discuss Paris Olympics, then it's bonjour. Actually,
Bonjour.
it's like a very good night because it's already 1 a.m. here. It's midnight in Paris, 1 a.m. here. So it's very, very late.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was finally the medal ceremony for the team event from 2022 and 2024. We had never seen anything like it, and I wondered, what did you think of it?
First of all, I think we're all very relieved. This is finally over. So finally, the Beijing Olympics is in history books. Everything is sorted out, almost everything. Athletes got their well-deserved medals. They got the ceremony. So finally, we will not see all those pictures with empty boxes. And hopefully we'll concentrate on the next Olympics now. I mean, I'm talking about the Winter Olympics. I think we've been waiting for that for so long, not as much as the athletes, obviously, but I'm happy it all happened, and congratulations to US team.
Yeah, I felt very strange watching it. On one hand, I was very happy for them, and I also felt disappointed for them. And because during the games, when it was scheduled and how everything worked out, the first week is really huge. It's new, the Olympics are starting, and this was towards the latter half of the Olympics, almost in a dead period, right? Swimming is really huge here, gymnastics, track and field. A lot of the big events are really over, right? And now we're having some of the more obscure events. We're going to have breakdancing, right? Rhythmic gymnastics. People are going to start to shift. Other things are more important, right? The first week of the games were so big. Now, Kamala Harris announced her, selection for vice president. That changes the news, right? The Olympics weren't on the cover of all of the newspapers this morning, right? So the conversation is shifting. And I do think that these athletes were kind of shortchanged by some of the things that happened because it really wasn't well publicized. On the Today Show, those announcers weren't at the ceremony for the team event because they were flying home. They have an election to cover, right? They have a convention coming up. And I think I felt for the athletes almost like, on one hand, it was so well attended and it was beautiful and they had great weather and it's by the Eiffel Tower and such a great moment. There was not a podium. There were no bronze medalists. Where was Thomas Bach? Right. And it was a little strange. I thought that I would have liked also the USO PC to really have gathered a lot of the Olympic legends to really be there to support the athletes.
To share the moment and to give it some, I don't know, legitimacy.
Yeah, I almost felt like they wanted to hide it. It's not. I don't think it's something that NBC really wants to over dramatize, right? And I'll be curious how much they show of it in primetime. I think it's kind of a.
They did. I think that both Peacock and NBC showed it live. Yeah,
we showed it live, but most people are working right during the day here, and it didn't have the fanfare that it may have had, right? There's been so much talk about doping, China, right? Things going on. And the Olympics.
There was a very funny discussion I saw on Twitter today. I think it was the US Olympic Committee publishing the news about the, medalists, finally the US team getting those medals. And in the comment section, there was lots about Chinese doping scandal. Finally, US is getting their gold medals over Chinese swimmers. And they're like, what?
No.
Like nobody even, following what's happening. For me, it definitely lacked the Olympic vibe. I mean, the ceremony. Obviously, the podium, but I think the podium was not there. And actually, it was not officially called a medal ceremony, if you noticed. It was called the ceremony of receiving gold and silver medals by the IOC. And I think it was just because, they wanted to keep it a little bit, low in terms of public attention. And probably they do realize that there are some, there are bronze medalists that kind of should have been there. And they wanted to keep it smaller probably than the official big medal ceremony as if it would have been in Beijing, probably, right? It was still very nice. It was very, I don't know, everybody looked very happy. And the Eiffel Tower, of course, and the weather, as you mentioned, but they looked like a group of American tourists in Paris to a certain extent, you know? They were very happy. Madison Chock cried, but I think it was because she's the only one, I mean, her and Evan, still competing. And those podiums and medal moments still mean a lot for her. I had a feeling that everybody else kind of moved on. They have their lives. They have interesting lives. They've been waiting for so long. I think they're happy. Obviously, they looked happy. Japanese athletes looked, I think, a little bit happier because probably the majority of them still compete. But, you know, this time they had a chance to share it with their families, not like in Beijing. I know that many families were there and coaches as well. But, you know, it was not like at the Medal Plaza at the Winter Olympics every evening. There are some, you know, flowers and medals. Probably the memories are not that fresh. It was like a time machine for them to the event that already, you know, they turned the pages.
Yeah, and I have to say, I don't think that if you were an athlete that was involved in, you know, a fight for clean sport, what's going on now in the US is there's a lot more, you know, controversy about it, especially with the Chinese swimmers. And I think it's really difficult to watch an event and to even watch swimming, right? We're watching an event where 23 Chinese swimmers were essentially allowed to compete at the last games, and 11 of them continued on, who took the same drug that Kamila Valieva tested positive for. She, you know, officially had a tainted strawberry dessert. They have tainted beef, right? There's what the official in the kitchen, something, right? You know, China did donate $2 million to WADA over the last several years since this was found. You know, it's hard not to think that this is political, right? And some of the arguments that are made, and it's difficult. I think it leaves a strange taste in everyone's mouth.
How big is this story in the US? I'm not talking about the winter medals, but the swimming and Chinese doping scandal.
There's definitely it's uncomfortable, I think, because the Chinese and Chinese US relations are, you know, not great, right? And also there's they also have to be careful because there can be a backlash of Asian hate, which we saw certainly in 2020 during
kind of balancing,
They're kind of balancing, and frankly, I think that there were bigger stories of Simone Biles and now Kamala Harris, and I think, you know, I think swimming is over and done, and people are just turning their attention to something else. I think it's really the reality of it, and they're going to figure this all out in the meantime, right? I don't know what it portends, but I think it has to be strange for the athletes.
Tell me how big is the medal ceremony, the winter medal ceremony is, I mean, in terms of the news, attention, figure skating community, at least. I'm not talking about
the figure skating community. You know, the fact that they didn't, I think the way that things played out with Camilla competing and then the team not getting the medals, I don't think that it helped skating over the last several years. I think also the lack of stars also didn't help, right? I think as things have played, what is a bigger role?
Are people following this ceremony? Are they discussing Alexis finally there and, you know, Madison Hubbell and finally those medals? Let's again watch those fabulous performances. Are they talking about that?
No, I don't think that these athletes really marketed their situation as well as they could have, some of them, right? I think for Alexa and Brandon, they kept competing, so they had other priorities. Madison Hubbell got married and had a child and started coaching, right? So they have other things. Madison Chock and Evan Bates, they also continued competing. You know, we mostly have seen Vincent Zhou speak out against it. Karen Chen went back to college. Nathan Chen went back to college. They all kind of moved on with their lives. So I don't think that the story really stayed alive as much as it could have within the public consciousness. And I think that they all kind of moved on. So it was nice to see them. It was
so nice to see them. I was so happy to see Madison next to Zachary. And I mean, they were glowing and they were so happy. And I was happy to see Brandon. You know, everybody, Nathan, of course, standing there on the podium, Karen Chen, like everybody. And the Japanese team, I really missed Shoma Una there. I wish he was there because he definitely deserves a medal and to be there. But he had a show in Switzerland. And it also says something about that ceremony. It's not like he would never miss a real, when I say real, it sounds insulting, but no, the real ceremony at the Winter Olympics. This is what I mean. Because in Russia, the feeling is pretty bitter. Many people keep saying that these are our gold medals. Others say that, okay, it's our own fault. I mean, nobody did that for us. We did it ourselves. And of course, it's not, you know, US team fault or Japanese team fault. The problem is that the athletes, the Russian team athletes, I wish they behaved a little bit differently. I wish they said something like, congratulations, guys. It's been a long wait. We are also waiting to get our bronze medals. But some congratulations would not hurt, I would say. But I understand it's a painful moment for them because, I mean, if you're talking about Michelin Galamov, Mark Kondratyuk, and Victoria Nikita, they did nothing wrong. And they didn't get their gold medals. Okay, understood. Camilla was disqualified. Her points were, you know, deducted. But they didn't get her bronze medals either. I do cannot be at these Paris Games, right? At the same time, bronze medals belong to Russia. And it's kind of unfair that there is a ceremony with no bronze medalist. So, I mean, if IOC really could, you know, talk to CAS and ask them, can you please postpone your verdict until the Olympics are over so we don't have any arguments, probably it will be easier. But we have what we have. And we have questions here in Russia. I mean, I'm not in Russia, but in Russia, they really ask questions whether it's fair that bronze medalists were not at that ceremony. And I think this is the reason why podium was not there today, because the third empty step would have been, you know, it would have raised questions.
Yeah, I have to agree. I also think that CAS waiting until the last moment before the games with the appeals to decide this is also strange. There couldn't really be a buildup because the athletes didn't even know if they were going. I had reached out to Alexa, and at one point they really were trying to brace themselves that maybe it wasn't going to happen, that there wasn't going to be a ceremony at these games. Then they got the news that they were going to Paris. So, you know, the athletes didn't really have a lot of time to plan, you know, summer travel or things that they didn't really know with their lives. And I think that they've really not been able to move on with this situation because of how it's been handled by the higher ups. And I have to also think even the fact that this case was half decided one day and then weeks later they decided about, you know, Canada's appeals rather than combining them all in one day. That was another strange situation here. And I think that left a bad taste in everyone's mouths. And I'm also curious why they didn't just leave the third medal, you know, the bronze medal vacant, right? In certain
no, they should have awarded it to someone, right? The problem is that, you know, it felt like a compromise. Like the American Federation pushed a lot. They really wanted those medals, and it makes sense because it's a medal moment, it's a marketing opportunities, and of course those athletes, they deserve their medal. All they asked for was the silver medal at the beginning, right? Just give us our medals. And the IOC kind of had to give it to them, right? At the same time, they didn't want a scandal and they didn't want any questions. That's why they kept it like the Champions Park in Paris, where the ceremony was held. It's not the venue for medal ceremonies. In Paris, they awarded at the venues, like in swimming pools and track and field stadium. In winter, like during Winter Olympics, they have medal plazas, they have official medal ceremonies. And here it was like let's greet those strange winter athletes at our magnificent summer Olympic Games. I just still hope that everybody's happy and they have a closure and they can move on. They can show their medal to their, families. They can start earning money with this medal because they deserve it. I mean, they did nothing wrong. They performed beautifully, and I'm really, really happy for them. But I know that I'll be crucified in the comments, but bronze medals should be awarded as well. And they will never be awarded the way the silver and gold were today. So I think they will be sent by mail. And Russia will have its own ceremony, something like that. Because as long as Russia is banned, I cannot see a proper ceremony for Russian athletes. So I must highlight, there was Mark Kondratyuk's post on some social media today, where he said he's very happy. Finally, the Olympic story is over. And bronze is worse than gold, but it's exactly one medal more than he ever expected to get at the Olympic Games. It was a decent and very nice post. I just still hope that somebody would congratulate the teams that got their medals today.
Yeah, I'm curious though. I'm confused about the Russian position. On one hand, they want the gold medals, right? And typically
they had them. Imagine they had them. It was like this Romanian gymnast that already was, taking pictures with the flag, and then, she got ripped off. But I can understand why they're sad.
Do they want the bronze medal at this point from the athletes on the team? Do you think that do they want that medal even if they think it should be gold? Will Russia make their own gold medal for the team like Plushenko gave himself?
Yeah. We have different opinions. Head coach of the Russian national team, Tchaikovskaya, says that actually we don't need those medals. We know that we're golden. And I think that even if the IOC invited Russian athletes, they would not come to Paris. Also, what really bugged me was the official reasoning, because the official reasoning from the IOC sounded like, as the ROC is banned, we cannot invite them. Okay, makes sense. But then they said, and also due to some logistics problems, this doesn't make sense. Invite them, and if they have the logistics problems, they will not come. IOC, again, tries to sit on two chairs at the same time, which is not very nice. So I think that they will accept bronze medal because it's still an Olympic medal. It's bronze, but it's an Olympic medal. I don't have an Olympic medal. Do you have an Olympic medal? No, nobody from my friends have it. So.
Yeah, what I will say is that these Olympics, I don't know if you were watching the US coverage or whatever, there was really not much mention about Russia at all during these Olympics, and the fact that they weren't there. It was almost as though everybody moved on and nobody even noticed that they were gone, outside of the fact that I think the women's team event was quite boring, and the fact that the US didn't have a challenger, and usually Russia is the #1 competitor of the American female gymnastics team or women's gymnastics team.
But girls from Brazil did well, and
they did Brazil, but not the same in terms of how competitive
it was not. It was not the same for me either, because of course when you're watching some event and then there are Russian athletes and then there are American athletes, it's a completely different vibe. Of course, you're watching that Gela Melnikova doing her routine, and then Simon. It's Simon. Sorry, Simon. It's more interesting for us, but I still enjoyed it. At the same time, you have to understand that real Russian, like rhythmic gymnastics, synchronized swimming, they start this week. So these are the type of sports where absence of Russia is really, really noticeable. Swimming, except for Evgenia Chikunova, I don't think so. Track and field, yes, some, very few, I would say. But, there are 15 athletes from, they called neutral athletes, AIN. If you see somewhere AIN, it's athletes from Russia and Belarus, because we are not allowed to have flag or any national symbols. Our tennis girls got silver in the doubles event at the Olympics. Medvedev, unfortunately, the tennis player, did not do very well. So Russians are there, but of course they're not very noticeable, I would say. But it's a huge sport event. Even if Russia is not there, there's still a lot of things to watch.
Well, yes, and I've been trying to get you to watch the gymnastics for quite some time now, Maya. And I've been telling you to watch the
No, you're
national.
too crazy. No, you're too crazy. I cannot follow that. You're
Oh,
just
really?
you're even crazier than following the figure skating.
Oh, I'm crazier, or the sport is crazier?
No, you.
Thank
You're
please.
like you're really obsessed.
Yeah, that's what we do. You're obsessed as well. I get calls from you how many times a week? What is Madison Chock's free dance? What is Madison Chock's free dance? Have you heard of what Chock's free dance is yet? Yeah.
Because I'm very curious. I really want to see what they come up with. So yes, of course, I'm very curious. But again, speaking about Russian Olympics, it's the first time since 1984 that Russian official TV channels or TV networks, they do not broadcast Olympics. So you have to realize that's quite a shift. People can watch it online because the IOC opened the broadcasting for Russia free of charge, because otherwise it would have been, pirate streams. How you call that?
Piracy.
Yeah, online. Yeah. So we have a chance to watch it at Olympics.com for free. I cannot say that many people follow it because, when they watch volleyball and there's Russian team competing, it's of course a different amount of attention. At the moment, I was in Russia last week. It's like nobody even knows that Olympics is happening. Not like in the US, because I read articles that there is record-breaking ratings at NBC and even Peacock, and everybody's watching that. Is that true?
Yeah, they're getting huge ratings, and they have a record in terms of ad revenue. They brought in $1.2 billion for ad sales. So, which is really good for the Olympics going forward, right? Because some of the recent Olympic Games during COVID weren't very profitable.
Tokyo, let's say Tokyo, even Beijing, yeah.
So this is good. And the fact that there's going to be future Olympic Games in Los Angeles and Salt Lake City and in Italy, I think we're going to see that there's definitely a good chance that those Olympics can be successful. What they also did, and I'm curious what you make of this, is a lot of celebrities came to these games and
yes.
Right? So it was all about watching the celebrities.
We need that at Winter Olympics.
Yes.
Do you think so?
What did you make of, first of all, I need to know what you make of our gymnastics team, because the US, we love to say that the Russian girls in figure skating are divas. Really, all of the figure skaters from Russia are divas, right? Plushenka, Nalgalyamov, right? So many, right? What do you make of the gymnastics from the US and all of...
I'm such a dummy in gymnastics. I just follow them, and I was really rooting for Rebecca Andrade, pardon.
Okay.
Because I like when somebody, when favorites win, it's great. But when the underdog wins, it's fantastic. It's like a chance. Like everybody understands that they have a chance. Because if you go there and there is Simone Biles doing her routine on the carpet, it's zero chance she will lose it.
We call it the floor. It's called the floor. Okay. The floor, the carpet. Yes. And what do you call the beam in Russia? Wait, in Russia, you call the beam the log, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, but if no. Yeah. It's a floor. Okay, floor exercise. You see how, good I am at gymnastics. You know that she cannot lose. And then things like that happen. And I think it actually attracts even more attention. When favorite loses, I mean, it's drama, right? Oh, by the way, did you consider that drama? What happened to her?
With the injury, or which thing we're talking
with the
about?
Fact that actually the gold medal that was 100% hers, because nobody's better on that floor than her, right?
Yes.
Slipped. Was she devastated? She didn't look devastated to me.
It was very interesting. I thought that she looked exhausted by the last day of the Olympics with all of the pressure and her injury. But I think overall she was happy with how she did. Of course, I don't think that she's ever happy when she loses, but she seemed, honestly, I got the vibe during the last day of those Olympics that she was absolutely exhausted, right? And I don't know if you could say, but she was upset with the cameraman, knocking into her right before she went. She wasn't happy about how, the beam final. And I think it's interesting because they've changed how gymnastics is organized. At a world championships, typically they do the event finals in 2 days. Now in they spread them out over 3, and they give them 1 day off. It's different how they schedule.
Longer now, yeah.
And I think with her injury and with everything going on, I think on one hand, I think she was happy and then she's relieved. She doesn't want to say how bad her injury is or isn't. She also has a tour coming up, but I think that there are some business reasons about why she's not going to discuss that calf, because she earns a lot of money on that tour. And I don't think that people are going to go pay to see Simone Biles like swing from a silk. Like, she's in Cirque du Soleil if you want to see her tumble, right? So she's saying that the boot is very precautionary, and it's a little strange that they don't press her on that after the whole Olympics was about looking at her leg, right? And how it was going to do. I think she also looked so phenomenal in training and in the lead up to this, right? She was sticking her vault in the podium training.
Yeah, it was certain. She nailed it. Yeah.
She would have to be kind of disappointed on some level that she wasn't able to show that. But then considering the injury, she did phenomenal. She did, a great job anyway. I think that there have to be a little bit mixed emotions, but she seems to have way more perspective since the last games. So I thought it was all really interesting. It felt like a circus, the gymnastics, like with the celebrities in the crowd. We had Snoop Dogg, we had all these celebrities.
I heard that he's being paid $500,000 a day for covering that for NBC.
Did you see he was covering dressage like with Martha Stewart? Some of it's fun. I mean, they're really.
But you know what? Paris also did a great job, because the venues spectacular. Like the horse events, how you call that in English? Horse events.
Equestrian. Equestrian.
Of course, equestrian. I held in Versailles, Palais de Versailles Palace, and fencing in fantastic, beautiful surroundings and buildings. The expo. It's a dream come true when you see Olympics at the venue like that. I really loved what Parisians did to the games. You feel that the games are in Paris. It very rarely happens that you feel the city vibe during the Olympics. So I'm happy that there are so many beautiful stories. Also, by the way, coming back to figure skating, there was this Canadian swimmer, Summer McIntosh.
Yes.
She's sister to Brooke McIntosh, the Canadian pair skater. And she was there. She was rooting for her. So actually, figure skating is there to a certain extent. Yeah.
So I wanted to know what you thought of Sunisa Lee, because I thought that this would be your kind of a gymnast. She has that figure skating vibe that
she is a diva. Oh, yeah, she is a diva.
Yeah.
I wonder how popular they are in States. I have a feeling that gymnastics is so much more popular than figure skating. Is that true?
Yes. And in each Olympics, it becomes more popular. Right, they become.
I feel it's building up. Yeah, gymnastics used to be very popular in Russia, like very popular. Like everybody knew those names, in times of Khorkina, especially.
Oh, she was popular here too. She ripped that silver medal off of her neck when the team got it. Oh, she was upset. Yes.
Yeah, and the thing with the vault, the problem is that it's getting less and less attention, and ban does not help. Because at the Summer Olympics, as well as the Winter Olympics, there are so many sports that actually shown on TV once in 4 years. And gymnastics is also this case in Russia. And now that they have some kind of internal competitions in Russia, but nobody's following that. So it's sad. I think it's sad for Russian sport. And, but I see that. Go ahead. Yeah.
Because, in my perspective, the Russian team pulled up a huge upset by beating the Americans at the last games, right? They were not favored to win, and they did win. And there have been a lot of Russian stars, right? Because actually, a lot of the American gymnastics fans like the Russians. It's a little bit different than in skating, where it's like good guy, bad guy. If you go on the social
rivalry, right? Yeah, they support each other on social media, and so Angelina Melnikova saying many warm words towards the US team, and they replied back, and they said that we miss you, we wish you were here. It's very nice to read. It's
different. So also the Russian gymnasts, it's a little bit different than skaters, right? How we talk about Tudberidze choreography. So the Russian gymnasts really incorporated ballet and choreography into the art of gymnastics from the 60s on, right? And they're really celebrated for their gorgeous technique and lines and how it is celebrated. So there's a lot of Instagram accounts that will show the different Russian athletes. Some of them live here. Svetlana Boginskaya, who's, Belarusian, but she's very beloved everywhere. So it's a little bit different in gymnastics.
We have Valery Lukin coaching.
Yes.
National team.
He's a little bit more controversial, but yes.
Okay, I know one Russian name.
Yes. His daughter won the gold at the Olympics. Yes. So yeah, it's a little bit more incorporated than in figure skating. There's still, more of a Cold War aspect to it with some of the judges. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. Also, I have to say that NBC did a really interesting thing. They focused on the families of the athletes so much. And I wondered what you thought of that, because we see a little bit of that in skating, but we don't know their family members as much. And I wondered
exactly what the ISU said at the Congress, that viewers want human stories. They actually would probably even skip the competition itself and would rather watch some behind the scene videos, some family interviews, some stories about how they were, brought up, how they were coached when they were kids. So this is what people want to see. And this is something new. And probably our generation is not, probably does not understand that. I think it will come to figure skating as well. Because in Russia, figure skating is still immensely popular. And I think we know a lot about parents of those girls and, husbands if somebody got married. So we know a lot. And I think it actually adds on to the interest to figure skating. So I think if that happens in figure skating, that would be also nice.
Yeah, but I don't think that you've been covering figure skating as well as you could right now. Yeah, I don't think, because you know why? You know that at the adult competitions, I was sitting in the stands and I was watching someone. He was sitting next to me, and then he was skating, and where you know someone's face and you're like, why do I know this person? Madison Hubbell's brother competed at the adult competition because he's a coach, and they get hired to compete with people, and it's allowed in the rules and some of the ice dance and the pairs. So he actually competed in pairs, even though he was an ice dancer. And it was so interesting. And Chris Knierim was there coaching, right? So, we know that you love the Hubbells, right? So Kiefer Hubbell was there, right? And also, you haven't said anything about Star Andrews' mother, who's been competing in adult skating in Star's old costume, and she has more.
I don't know much about that. That's your story.
Come on, I could just see it on the front of Sports.ru. You could call Tatiana Tarasova, for her comment and see what she thinks about it. I think that it could be quite.
This is what you have to realize, and this is also a very sad thing happening. Russian figure skating and international figure skating here in Russia are like two continents drifting apart.
Yes.
People are less and less interested in what's happening in international figure skating. They are more concentrated on some new Russian names, Russian juniors. Overall interest in figure skating is declining a little bit, slowly probably, but they care less and less about what happens in the rest of the world. This is very sad for me. I keep, promoting and advertising and say, let's watch Worlds because it's interesting. But I feel that interest is dying for the international figure skating here. So mother of Star Andrews, I don't think that people would, really read the article about her here in Russia if we're talking about the media attention.
They love a black star in Russia, okay? They would love to talk about it. You know it.
Coming back to Simone Biles, you try to guess the only thing people are discussing concerning Simone Biles. Yeah, of course. ADHD, medicine, and Ritalin. And if you post anything about Simone, it will be immediate oh, that doping girl.
Yes.
Immediate reaction. It's already like an urban legend. Everybody's the first reaction, oh, they doped her. So it's crazy, but this is what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. And medication and all of that. That's a controversial topic, right? And I think
but still in Russia, I think that majority of people in Russia do not believe in ADHD as a disease. They still think that kids, they just have to sit down and try to concentrate. But it will come there eventually, because parents with ADHD kids, they do realize it's a big problem. So I think it's lack of literacy in terms of like nation is not very well educated regarding that disease. So for them, it's kind of, Simone found the way to cheat. This is how it's treated.
I mean, it's definitely controversial. One of the reasons it's controversial for two reasons in sport. One, obviously the attention, right? That it can help you focus. And does that help you in performance? Also, it can be an appetite suppressant, right? So in any sport where a strength to weight ratio is issue, it's is that a potential way of
what's funny? I noticed that there are lots of Ozempic commercials at the Olympic broadcasts in Canada, and I think in the US as well. Yeah. And it's so weird. I understand that they talk about diabetes.
Do you know who's in one of the commercials who doesn't take it? But Nellie
Biles.
Yes. What do you make of her? She's a star, right? Do you sense that she's very key to this?
If it helps promote gymnastics, let it be. I mean, the more people are involved in sports, probably figure skating. You see, I keep bringing back.
No, I'm leading you because I'm going there as well.
I hope that a little piece of that huge media attention to gymnastics could, gymnastics could share that attention a little bit with figure skating in winter when there's figure skating season, because I have a feeling that Twitter accounts that I follow that usually write about figure skating, they write a lot about gymnastics. So I hope that some gymnastics Twitter accounts will start writing about figure skating and will benefit from that. Yeah, but we'll see.
I think we could do it. There's an article I would like you to write because I have heard many rumors and things over the years. Sasha Trusa's father. Could we focus on him in the stands and have a camera on him like it's on Nellie Biles? Because there have been many.
Could we focus on Sasha? No. Could we focus on Sasha Trusa landing her quad Lutz?
It looked great.
Last week?
Tirnoy Lutz looked great.
Yeah, it looked good.
Yes. I thought.
I mean, to be honest, I never ever. Yeah, but I never ever believed that she can bring it back.
I think she could.
And it was like a piece of cake for her.
Of course. And is she going to stay with? Is she going to be an angel of Plushenka? Do you think, or is she going to go back to?
She's earning a lot of money there. I don't know, for those viewers who are not aware of that, Trusova announced her comeback to the test skates this season in Russia in September. I'm going to be there in St. Petersburg, hopefully, to watch that. She kind of gave a hint that she's thinking of returning to competitive season, but I heard rumors that her eyes are on Olympics, 2030 Olympics, because she hopes Russia will be allowed to compete. I never believed that, but looking at that quad Lutz, I think it's possible.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about this. I was talking with Bruno Marcotte about how we could make skating, better, improve. And one of the things I've had this discussion over the last couple of days is that, there's so much diversity in gymnastics, not just, first of all.
What diversity are you talking about?
Ethnic, race, right, countries, but also in terms of body types, right? You have people that are good at the bars, people that are good at the floor.
Yeah, because they're different apparatus. Yeah.
Even on the floor, right? Like Jordan Childs is good at flipping. You see some of the Romanians who are doing more twisting, right? There are different ways of getting a score. Figure skating in the current rules favors a very specific body type, right?
Oh, yes.
And it's very hard for someone like Wakaba Higuchi or Kaori Sakamoto, who have, shorter, stiffer muscles, to be able to hit some of the spin positions that are needed to be successful. And I was wondering if you thought that they needed to kind of change the rules a bit for that someone like a Tuktamisheva could be as successful in figure skating, because I still see that if I post a video of Midori Ito or Tuktamisheva or Liz Manley or Wakaba Higuchi, right, someone that has a different kind of body type that has more power and less flexibility, the public wants to see that and have them be able to be as competitive. But I think
they want to see different. You're right. The diversity should be here because, I mean, you can like on the way Anna Shibakova skates and, all those slim, very, very thin girls. But also when you see the power that, let's say, Kaori Sakamoto has, she doesn't have a triple axel. She has double axel, but that's a piece of art. I mean, the power she has. But I don't know how you can possibly change those rules to give those girls with another type of figure, a body, like benefit. I don't know how you can write that in the ISU handbook.
I think it would be in terms of how they judge the spins, right? In terms of some of the spins. So they were kind of getting it to the choreographic, but I don't think they had fleshed it out. But I think that if you wanted like a spin to be on quality rather than just on the positions, right? So that if they could do a spin that was fast, but maybe they're not the most flexible, you know, they would have a chance. So they could do a great flying sit spin, right? But maybe they wouldn't. I mean, Tuktamishva is never going to have the best layback, right? She's never going to have, you know, the best.
Yes, but she has other things down her sleeve. I just think that the thing that would definitely help figure skating is just fair judging. You can just keep those rules that are there. Just do the fair judging.
Fair judging, but also allowing the judge so that we could see Sasha Trusa. How is Sasha Trusa going to continue if she could win the Russian nationals, right? She's at a disadvantage with the spins, especially as she gets older. Those are not her strength.
That's why she had 5 quads.
Yes, right? Is she going to have 5?
No. And of course, landing a quad lutz in practice does not mean she can skate the full routine with the quad lutz. Of course, I'm not meaning that. But that's still, I love stories. And I still believe that people love stories way more than some, you know, figures on the, you know. Yeah. I just think that if you have an athlete like Sasha Trusa, who was actually never competing in the league of those slim, very, very thin girls. She has a very athletic body. Her body actually reminds me a lot of a gymnast body. And she's thinking of coming back, having all the money in the world, lots of shows. She's getting married in August, next week, I think. August the 17th. It's a wedding season. And she still wants to come back. That says a lot about her sports character. It's like she's very enthusiastic about having that feeling at the competition. I mean, she's probably not my cup of tea in terms of skating, but definitely I adore her sports character.
Oh, come on. Don't you want her to skate to Cruella de Vil again? Like the old days when she was, yes.
I love when skaters are different.
Yeah.
And Sasha Trusa was different. So I love when, you know, things like that happen. I want to have Kaori Sakamara, Sasha Trusa, Isabelle Vito, so all different.
Lisa, you know, back.
Elizabeth is, I mean, all this thing with the team event brought back the questions whether, I mean, if Camilla's case would have been revealed earlier, probably would have been Elizaveta on that Olympic team. And she would have finally got her Olympic moment. But, you know, we cannot talk about past. Past is in the past.
Okay. You love ice dance. There's a rumor that Montreal is interviewing for a show on Netflix. So we have to be very excited.
I would be so happy. I would be so happy if that happens because it helps to promote sports. I mean, figure skating needs some Netflix attention, and not only Ilya Malinin skating to the Succession soundtrack. Yes. Yeah. If they do that, that would be fantastic.
Come on, we need Diana and Ateri, you know, right? Like it would be the first person that you would cast.
I don't think Ateri is going to be there. She's the star of another show in Russia, so.
Yeah, big girls, yes. But I wondered, you love an ice dancer, all the countries. Tim Coletto was at the ceremony today. Do you think he will find another partner? What do you make of Tim's chances?
I don't think that's happening.
Okay.
I think he will get that medal and he'll be off to something else. They looked happy. They didn't look very connected with Misato, but you know, he looked like he hasn't touched his skates in like a long time, I would say. But you know, if he finds a partner, that will be great to see. Long stories, long careers in figure skating, but I would not bet my money on that.
What about Wakaba? She looked really happy today, right? Like I thought
she was so happy. And Kaori, what I love about Kaori and all the other Japanese girls, they are so like really happy. You can see that they're like, oh, running there, running around. And I heard that there's some people at the audience. I mean, you have to realize that people there in the stands today, they didn't understand much about what's happening there. Winter Olympics, Here, why? Because this is happening for the first time in history, right? So Kaori Sakamoto, Nathan Chen, and Yuma Kageyama are the first Olympians that have been awarded Olympic medals both at Winter and Summer Olympics. That's a fun fact. So it's not like people understood much, but they loved Kaori. The way she ran around, the way she was taking selfies and everything, they really loved her. Yeah.
What do you make of Vincent Zhou? Do you think there's a chance we'll see him on the US team in 2026?
To be honest, I think I can see you on the US team in 2026 because spots are open.
Spots are,
because
yeah.
I mean, Ilya and
not
Jason
be making
probably,
a run for the 2026 Olympics. No.
We can still make it. Probably Ilya and Jason go into Milano, by default, if nothing happens. But the third spot is definitely open. And we have Camden, we have lots of, ex-juniors. I mean, you have, not me.
Yeah.
If Vincent decides to come back, he probably will. But I think that Beijing gold medal was the peak of his career.
I think Tammy Gamble will be trying to get him to come back because she is kind of the top coach in Colorado and she doesn't have a real skater that
anybody to come to Milano with. Yeah.
Amber Glenn kind of stays, with Damon and arm's length from Tammy. So she needs someone, right? And he can still do it. And Camden has been back, but she needs someone. And she is a politician, as we know, right? So
do you believe that Nathan could come back?
I don't think Nathan looked interested to even be in Paris, right? To get a medal.
But he had this fantastic selfie.
Great selfie,
with the
right?
Power. It was a great selfie, yeah.
Hanging out with John-Luc Baker. They look so done, right? I can't think he just, you know what? I think Nathan would come back, except you're a Russian mom. He has a mom like you. Why would he come back when Ilya Malinin is guaranteed
to? If not for Ilya, probably he would have come back. Yeah. But, we'll see what happens this season.
Would you tell Alexa to get on her skates for one season with Brandon?
You read in my article today that she hasn't said no.
She hasn't said no. I try to ask her all the time. But I have to say, Sports Rue makes me laugh so hard. I mean, it is really like watching like Trump's view of America, right? And we go to look at, first of all, the quotes of what you said each person was up to. It had me just howling. But the photo of Brandon looking like he's just gambling his earnings away from the ISU was the perfect picture. I laughed so hard at that.
I love, you know what? There were many people, okay, again, some information. I just wrote an article about what the US team athletes have been up to the last 2.5 years. That, Zachary went into real estate and he does some classes in China, and, Brandon is doing the finance diploma, business diploma, and also he is seriously into poker as a sport. And many people commented, like the comments section of the article said that, wow, the US athletes actually have a life after the Olympics, after they're done with sports, because the majority of Russian athletes, they either stay as coaches or they have shows, but they kind of remain in that circle. They never leave the rink. And when I look at, Nathan having a fantastic science career, when I look at Karen Chen doing biology, I mean, it's fantastic. It's interesting. So actually lots of comments were like, wow, we never knew that your athletes are so, smart and doing other things.
What did you make of seeing your girl, Madison Hubbell? It looked like she and Zach had not seen each other in a long time.
But they haven't. They haven't. I think the whole event in Paris was like a great team building activity for them, because all of those athletes used to hang out so much. They have the same circuit, Grand Prix event series, then nationals, then for continents, worlds. They were spending lots of time together, and over the last 2.5 years, they have their own lives, and finally, they have a chance to see each other. It's like an alumni. How you call that?
A lot like
they get together.
A reunion.
Yeah, the reunion. Yeah, it's like the reunion. They were very happy to see each other. I don't know if they're still best friends or they are connected the same way as they used to, but I think it was great. For them, it's fantastic fun trip to Paris.
I think Hubbell needs to be on television providing commentary over Caitlin Weaver. I just think when we saw her, I thought we need more of her, right? She needs to be
I love talking to her. She's so smart. She knows what she's doing. She looks fantastic, and she's such a, she's such a great mom when you look at the way she has her Chloe baby girl. I wonder if she's in Paris, by the way, if she brought Chloe there. I haven't seen the pictures yet. But I think she will make a fantastic coach behind the boards. That's for sure.
What's your favorite Hubbell program?
Skating skills is my favorite.
Oh, please, you don't have a piece of music that she liked? How about when she skated with Gabi? Was that better than when she skated with Zach?
It was different. I would love to see her and Zach doing stuff again on the ice. I would love to see her. And I think, by the way, that next season, probably, there'll be a huge Stars on Ice tour, including all those gold medal team event members. And hopefully we'll have a chance to see Madison and Zach on the ice again. Although Zach looked like he hasn't been skating a lot.
Yeah.
So.
What did you make of the Lake Placid ice dance competition? Did you see any of the clips there?
I just hope that sooner or later, the US competitions will be broadcasted with the music and not without the music, because this is ridiculous. I understand the whole thing with the copyright, but you have to do something about it. It's ridiculous. When you see video clips of rhythm dance or free dance with no music, on mute, it doesn't make any sense. So I don't think it's very nice.
Of Annabelle Morozov with Jeffrey Chen. I thought that she was better 2 partners ago. I think I liked her better with Dave Brezhny. I mean, we've seen so many partners that you can pick and choose from.
Do you remember Madison and Evan 2 months after they just paired up?
Yeah, I mean, I think they did quite well at the nationals, right? Igor Spielbahn really worked those results for them. They did great. Yeah.
Okay, what I didn't like about Annabelle is that she looks a lot like Elena Ilianych in terms of not skating skills, but the presentation skills. And I didn't like that. She used to copy Madison Chock. Now, for some reason, she copies Elena Ilianych, and I don't like that. But I mean, you have such a strong competition within the US national team.
Elena was practically her stepmother growing up. I mean,
who wasn't?
Yes, who wasn't? I mean, but be honest about it. Elena Ilianych was her idol as a kid when she was doing.
Elena is definitely not a bad example, especially when you talk about skating skills and the speed, and Annabelle does not have those. But she would have to fight
other partners. This was the weakest we've seen her. Her twizzles look like spins. I could just hear Galina being like, "Is this twizzle or is this spin?" You know, like this, right?
I think they were not ready for the event, and I think that this Flores de Sadov team, they're very popular on TikTok and social media, and I think that also increases their chances to be selected for, let's say, the Skate America place.
You know that they refer to the coaches in skating circles, they call her Crazy Elena, and I've never met her, but that's like her nickname. I've never met Elena. No, Elena Dostatny from Colorado. I don't know her. I don't even know what she looks like, right? I just know that there is a woman that is a coach of our married junior.
Never heard of her, sorry.
And our TikTok stars, and she's referred to as Crazy Elena. I don't know her, right? But she's gonna, likely have a Skate America spot. I don't think much. I didn't like the program of the Canadians with the cowboy and Indian type program. It was
yes, but for me the biggest interest was what would be the next gen of the US ice dance team, and who is the US Federation betting on. So it looks like
match the partners. I think, and I don't really like Flores' partner with the tattoo sleeves. Like, I just don't think this looks very professional for competition. It
was not a very top-rated event, but it gives you a glimpse of the new programs, and not many were very interesting. We'll we'll see. I'm really looking forward to the season, and I'm really looking forward to that free dance of Madison and Evan. So if you have any information, please text me.
I have not heard. I just know that Massimo Scali choreographed it, but they haven't really been in Montreal. They've been traveling. They were in Japan. They, now they're in Paris. They were in Hawaii. So I'm curious. They've had a little bit of a break. They have had some health issues over the last couple of years, so it looks like they've paced themselves a little bit. Now they have to start training and getting ready.
They have the US national team test skates this year in August, I think. So they kind of have to present their programs. And I think this is the earliest we ever saw their programs. And they also, I think their Skate America is their first Grand Prix event, right?
Yes.
I don't know. Madison Chock is the woman who knows what she's doing. So I would trust her.
Yes, I would trust her as well. We officially saw that Haiyan Lee and Young Yu have been removed from the Skate America roster. There's been a lot brewing that they are going to be facing some sort of a ban in Korean figure skating.
Yes, and they're missing, they say they're both missing the Olympics in Milano. So, I mean, one of them filed an appeal, but I don't think it will change anything. So I think 99% they are not going to Milano.
And Daniel Grossel is coming back, but the Italian Federation has released.
And also he just had a second Grand Prix event.
Yes.
NHK. So now he has two. I hope to talk to him end of August. He looks very determined, and he looks definitely determined to qualify for that national team and go to Worlds and Europeans. But we'll see. I haven't seen him actually skating for so long.
What about Corey Cercelli, who switched to Italy because it looked like he had the road to go to the Olympics with Daniel Grossel being suspended?
Yeah, but this is a very weird move for me.
Yes.
In Canada, he has way more chances to qualify.
Yes. Would you switch him back at this point?
I think it's not that easy. Now he has to sit another year, and he will definitely miss the Olympics. But
they haven't assigned him to any competition, so I think we could move him back. I don't think he's at any danger of going to the World Championships for Italy this year. So I think we should, look. Maybe he could join Lila Fear in the team event if he made a strategic decision.
I have a question. I have a question to you. Do you think that today's gold medal for the U.S. team actually increases the U.S. chances of getting another gold medal for the team event in Milano?
As long as we have a pair that is credible. I mean, do you think Audrey Shin is going to wind up being our good pair girl in about a year? Bruno says, give me a year.
Alexa will come back if she look at things like that. But I don't know, even with the not very good team, pair team, I think you're still favorites. With that Russians, you're still favorites for the gold.
Who would you put in the team event for the women? Would you go with Isabeau or Amber Glenn?
Oh, I think so much changes. I think we'll have to decide December 2025. So,
what do you make of Alyssa Liu's comeback? Lindsay Thorngren was supposed to compete this weekend. She's injured. She's been battling kind of a back issue.
I saw her landing double axel with some rented skates today. Doesn't look very promising to me. But again, we're in August, so much can change.
Alyssa Liu, she likes to keep us guessing, right? I don't know.
I think we discuss that every time we are live. Alyssa, Amber versus Isabeau. We haven't seen their programs yet, although I'm a little bit surprised that Isabeau is doing the Swan Lake after the Swan program last season.
And she's doing something else very typical for the free, I think. Is it Liebestrom or something rather expected? And
they tried the snake program. It was really interesting. But she said that she just couldn't skate it the way it was supposed to. And it required too much of her concentration. So she prefers to skate to something more typical for her. For me, it's a sad thing to do, but she needs those medals, right? So she needs something which is 100% choice. I understand her, but I would prefer to see something like a snake program and not another Swan Lake.
She had a very good Latin program to Quizás when she was a junior, and I think that she could show that more, that aspect of her personality rather than this.
She's such a fun girl in the mix zone. You cannot believe that. She laughs. She keeps telling stories about Nicki Minaj. and her latest album, you know, putting her together before the competition. She's having good jokes. She has a very good sense of humor. She's not afraid to talk when she loses. She's a darling of that mix zone. We'll really love her there. I just hope that we would see something like that on the ice, because Isabeau is way more than those romantic programs. I understand they need the medals and the titles. That's why they choose a safe path. But she is such a character. She is such an open person. She can do so much on that ice in terms of presentation, that I hope that she will do something like that.
Christina and Anthony are supposed to be doing Carmen. Does that mean that Hubbell choreographed it? Because if Hubbell choreographed Carmen, I might be interested, right, in what her vision.
All I know is that they're touching boards at that program, and I don't like
that. It's, you know, we haven't seen our skaters in so long. What do you make of the Canadians? You know, a lot of people are going to say that Canada deserved that bronze medal. To me, there were 2 years that they were not in the fight, right? So I have a struggle with that when they didn't speak up for 2 years in a sports world that we see is so ugly and so corrupt. They have not.
I don't know. I read lots of tweets of Megan Duhamel about, you know, Canada should have got her bronze medal, its bronze medals. But at the beginning, I was absolutely sure that Canada would have, you know, be awarded bronze medals, and it would have been fair. But the more I think about it, the more I realize that actually ISU has a point in awarding Russia bronze medals. I mean, it comes down to mathematics and some legal stuff, but Canada did not, I wouldn't say deserve, because this is sports. It's not like somebody deserves a medal, but they were not that good in Beijing. If they were fantastic and just, you know, unfortunately did not have any medals, that would have been a different situation. But they were standard. They were regular, I would say. And, you know, Russia, okay, I will say something very provocative now, but Russian team was damn good in Beijing.
Yes, yes. What do you make of Galyamov and what he said to Megan Duhamel? Does he have a reputation for being outspoken like that? I would expect something maybe from Katsalapov or, you know, Plushenko.
But you know what was that 5-letter word you meant? Medal.
I don't think it was medal. I thought it started with a P.
Okay, but he said it was medal. I think that all those athletes with this ban, they're sitting at home, they're competing at the internal competitions, and they see those medals being awarded. They see the Grand Prix assignments, and they see like their life is passing in front of their eyes, the life that they should have had, but they don't. I think it's tough for him. I don't like what he writes very, very, very often. The way that he keeps emailing Thomas Bach or Luna Hendricks or offering something to Megan. I always think that, okay, if we're unbanned and he's there at the mix zone, a press conference or dressing rooms with those people that he actually offended, how would have, I mean, that's not a smart thing to do. But he is young and he thinks that, I think many Russian athletes are spoiled by the extra attention they receive in Russia. They feel like they're celebrities and they behave like celebrities. And not many know how to behave like a true celebrity.
Are you team Michaela Skinner or team Simone Biles?
Simone Biles.
Do you know about Skinner? Have you looked?
Yeah, I followed that. I think it was not a wise thing to say, and it was not a wise thing to say. I mean, the timing was bad, and now nothing she can ever say, would, you know, delete what she said before. So
it's you know, for her, it's part of a long pattern, right? And there was unfortunately, I don't think she's a very intelligent girl, right? So that also plays in. It's not an excuse, right? I genuinely don't think she understands, right? Like the implications of her actions, which is not an excuse. And that's right. It's just, it adds to the confusion of all of this.
I think it very much depends on the people who are around you. If there are people who can actually explain you what's happening and how you should behave, how you shouldn't behave, it would help a lot. But those athletes, okay, they do not have proper education. They spend their whole life in the gym or on the rink, at the rink. And usually there's other skaters or gymnasts around them. So if there was somebody who was like, okay, stop now. You have to tweet this or you have to write this. It would be nicer. But they think they are true celebrities and they can afford saying something like that. And they don't plan ahead.
So she also competed in collegiate gymnastics, which is quite popular in the US, and especially where she was in Utah. And it's it goes into politics with right, left, and race. So there's so many layers to all of it. But she really felt wronged in 2016 that she deserved to go to the Olympics over Gabby Douglas. There's a lot of things there's a long history there. So yeah, it's very interesting, but she doesn't have a lot of friends on the national team at this point. But I mean, everybody was, when Simone won the gold medal and made that caption, everybody was.
This lazy, how did it sound? Lazy losers? What did it say? It had lazy, this is for sure.
Lazy, untalented Olympic gold medalist, champions. Yeah,
she nailed it. Come on, she did.
I wouldn't want to upset Simone. She's.
By the way, speaking of that, 2016, have you seen Alex Shibutani? He was working for NBC in Paris, right?
Or Team USA or NBC or
Team USA on NBC.
With all blonde hair. Yeah, was he at the medal ceremony? I don't
think so, but I think that medal ceremony actually again meant a lot for Madison Chock and Evan Bates, because this was their first Olympic medal. Madison, Hubbell, and Zachary had their Olympic ceremony in Beijing. Nathan Chen had his medal, and actually it took 8 years. It took both Madisons actually, 8 years to qualify for the team event, and it meant a lot to them. And they said that in a million interviews that they didn't think that what happened in 2018 was fair. That Shibutanis got both rhythm dance and free dance, and that's why they were very happy. But my question, actually, why I asked about Shibutani, any news about Shibutanis?
It looked like there was some rumors that they were going to be coming back, and it doesn't look like that's going to be happening. I think they were skating a bit, and they have done more shows. I think they were toying around. What I always think is interesting about that team event, and the Shibutanis weren't necessarily my favorite team. Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyo also chose to do the same event. And when you win nationals, you're right. Montreal had kind of kept the peace with their teams, and they discussed this long in advance. These teams did not have that relationship, right? When the three of them were going, one of the teams would have obviously been left out. The other thing there, you have to play revisionist history here, is if the Shibutanis chose to split that event, we may have never seen Mirai Nagasu land that triple axel, because they probably would not have put her in the team event.
Yeah, probably.
Because Nathan Chen only wanted to do one.
Yes, only one routine. Yeah. The same as in 2022. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where someone is always going to get.
Actually, if any of Madison's would have got their place. Sorry, it's just too late here. Team event in 2018, probably they would have retired by the Beijing Olympics. So I don't know. The way it happened is the way it's happened, right? So
those teams, there was so much competition, and they were going, and the real thing is they were fighting over an individual bronze medal, right? In the individual event as much. I do think that the Shibutanis have been a tad villainized for that decision in the team event, right? Because a number of athletes could have had that, and they did have the stature going in. And this is weird because they weren't my favorite team, but I will say Zach Donohue and Madison Hubbell made many mistakes at many competitions leading in. So if you go by results, they kind of had to make that decision, right? The Shibutanis were reigning world medalists, several times going in, And they also, had, Grand Prix final medals and results in that.
I understand the logics behind this decision. Yes, I really do. But we have the same discussion here in Russia. Actually, coming back to those gold medals, like, rounding that up. Actually, it was not the IOC or the US team that took the gold away from Russians. And actually, probably it was not even Camilla. I think it was the officials of the Russian team that decided to have Camilla for both the short program and free program in the team event, knowing that her test is not ready and that there may be something wrong, because they wanted to have that twice Olympic champion so much, 2 times Olympic champion at the same Olympics, and that would have happened for the latest event for the first time. And they didn't want, in Russia we didn't have any substitutes, right? We have only one ice dance team, one pair team, one boy and one girl, because they didn't want any complications. They didn't want to see the fight between Trusova and Sherbakova and their parents for that Olympic spot on the team. So they said, okay, it's only number 1 from each discipline that's going to be competing in team event. And that decision actually cost Russia a gold medal. Because if that was Anna Sherbakova or Alexandra Trusova or Elizaveta Tuktamisheva, if she qualified for the team, for the Olympic event, it would have been no difference, right? That girl would have won the team event, her section of team event, like Camilla did. But somebody was too greedy, or somebody didn't want to take any responsibility. So this is why Russia doesn't have gold medal. Nobody else to blame.
Were Trusova, Sherbakova, were Trusova and Sherbakova's test results ready?
Yeah.
They had gotten them back earlier? Okay.
Yeah. I think that just nobody thought of something can go wrong with Camilla. She was the 100% favorite for the event. I think nobody would ever argue with that.
I want to know who leaked it to the press that there was a problem, and was the Chinese story involved, right? Because if it's the same drug, did someone in the lab know that there was a controversy with China? Because you have to realize the Chinese...
Well, I think it's a conspiracy theory.
Well, 6 months earlier, 23 athletes tested positive for the same drug. Same exact drug as Camilla.
It just proves that this drug is kind of widely spread in sports.
Yes.
But, oh, sorry. I just have Academy of Montreal just posted a photo and I had this sound. Sorry.
You love them. And I am obsessed? Okay, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So,
I am obsessed about, yeah.
Okay. I wonder in the global sports world or in WADA, right? Because I don't think everybody is of the same opinion. But if you think about it, 23 Chinese swimmers took the same drug 6 months prior. Was there controversy brewing behind closed doors about trimetazidine, right? And about the fact that those swimmers were cleared, and why were the Chinese swimmers cleared and Valyeva not cleared, right? I mean, that's...
Because I have a feeling that nobody actually tried to defend Camilla, because her lawyers did not even try to come up with... I mean, when you see some, like nowadays, not especially, even at Paris Olympics, we see some crazy cases, like the girl was accused of doping, but then she proved that it was her dog, and it still works. So lawyers can pretty much prove everything, and they kind of didn't try to defend Camilla the way they should. So I don't know. I think that Russian team was just, I'm talking about officials, they were just they were carried away too much. And they thought that the gold medal is in their pocket. So,
yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's one of those things we'll always wonder, but I can't really defend why Valyeva was suspended and China wasn't, right? I can't defend that.
Nobody in Russia understands that. Yeah. I think it's that Chinese, I think they just found the way to prove and to show that, it's nothing serious. I wonder why they didn't do the same for Camilla.
Yeah, I just look at the rules in general because, figure skating, they wanted it to be more objective, like track and field. And I just keep thinking about the fact that if we look into history, how many runners were doping, right? That we found out later, right? And if they're beating those records that were obtained, illegally, via cheating, but now what are the athletes doing now and getting around? You know, it's a sick feeling, right? That something isn't right. But yeah, I guess it's what makes
What
this
can we
work
do?
so interesting. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Maya. I can't wait to discuss more figure skating with you. And hopefully Madison Chock will let us know what she's skating to in a couple
And hopefully, I hope that today's ceremony really paved the way for us to see Madison Hubbell, Nathan Chen, and everybody from the team on some show next spring or probably even holiday season, because we really missed them on the ice. And again, congratulations, both teams. I just hope that bronze medals would arrive in time for Russian athletes.
But you think maybe Alexa and Brandon could come back and compete against Deanna and Max and make it more interesting for us?
Comebacks are always fun.
Right?
But you know, nobody, especially when you already have a gold Olympic medal,
Mhm.
you really need some motivation to come back.
Who do
Because
you
if
think,
you don't,
who do you think has more character, Deanna or Alexa?
I would bet on Diana. I mean,
Okay.
it's not like Alexa does not have enough character. Oh, yes, she does.
They've both yelled at me, so I can, you know,
But
compare.
Alexa already has a gold medal, and Diana doesn't. This is what makes Diana hungrier. So I would bet on her.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Hold it out. You look sexy. Bye.
Okay, sorry for mistakes. It's just